This morning's guest is living in the past, and thanks to him, you can too. Meet him, coming up next on All American People. Good morning. Welcome to All American People. This morning we're at the Horry County Museum on the corner of 5th and Main Streets in Conway, South Carolina. We're focused on the museum and we're visiting with its director, Walter Hill. Good morning, Walter.
Good to
How
meet you.
exciting to get in a little before y'all open up this morning to see the amazing location here. It is tremendous.
Yes, sir. We're glad to have you.
It is, as you go through and walk through the facility, there's so much going on. You get a sense that there's really a lot hopping.
Well, there really is. This museum is located in an old post office here in downtown Conway. We have a variety of exhibits. Our mission is to preserve, protect, and educate the public about the history, prehistory, and natural history of Horry County, South Carolina.
Okay.
So we have a little bit of everything from plants and animals to Native American artifacts, cultural artifacts, and a small changing exhibit gallery. Our changing exhibit gallery this month focuses on blue ribbon winners from the Horry County Museum Quilt Gala.
Yeah.
This past February, we hosted the 17th annual Quilt Gala with over 230 quilts on display at the Ocean Lakes Recreation Center.
Wow.
We host that annually the last weekend in February. And then the people get to choose their favorite quilts, and we're allowed to take the blue ribbon winners of the People's Choice Awards there and bring them into the museum and display them for the month of March so that everyone who didn't get an opportunity to see the quilts on display at the gala can come back and see the best of the best.
You said there were 230 quilts, Walter?
This year we had 230 entrants ranging from everything with large quilts, medium quilts, small quilts, wearables, which are quilted garments,
Right.
or handbags, and our challenge department, which is, or challenge category rather, which is a program there we set forth every year that sets a standard for a theme or color that the quilters have to come up with an original idea to represent that. This past year was If You Could Talk to Animals. So we got some beautiful quilts. They're all, animal, natural, or pet themed.
If you could talk to animals.
This coming year, it'll be Hollywood and cinema. So it'll be interesting to see what these creative quilters come up with to represent their ideas, their favorites in relation to television and movie.
That is tremendous, and they fuel these ideas. Now, it's a pretty serious competition.
Well, it is serious in the quality there.
Right.
It is not a juried show, so anyone can enter a quilt in there, and we welcome all comers to come in there. There'll be people in there who are very experienced, and there are first-time quilters in there.
Right.
But it's an open bag, and really, since it's not a juried show, it's left open to the public, to the visitor who comes to that gala to decide which ones they think are their favorite and the best.
Okay, Walter, if a viewer's watching right now and they're a quilt maker, even a novice or an experienced one, what's the best way they can learn more preparing for the 18th annual next year? Will they want to call somewhere, visit your website?
Sure, they can keep their eye on the Horry County Museum website, which is www.horrycountymuseum.org.
Okay.
It will come about December. We'll have the new applications for the 2012 gala there, and they can download an application, fill out the information, and send it into the museum.
Okay.
Usually we have enough room for everyone, but occasionally we'll have more than we have space for, and we'll take first comers then.
Right. For our viewers who don't have internet access or don't know how to access the internet, even if they do, is there a good phone number they
Sure,
can call?
they can contact the museum long about January at 843-915-5320.
5320. And for folks who just want to pop by and get some information, if they're driving through Conway or live across the street, y'all's hours here.
We're open 9 to 5, Tuesday through Saturday.
Okay.
At the corner again of 5th and Main in downtown Conway.
That is tremendous, Walter. Real quick about yourself before we get more into the museum and the Expansion Museum. Are you originally from the area?
I sure am. I'm always proud to tell people that my family has been in the Horry, Georgetown, and Williamsburg County area for 300 years.
Oh, come on.
Born and raised in Georgetown County in a little community called Plantersville. Proudly still live in Plantersville.
Yes.
Hope to end my life there in Plantersville. Raising my family there the same as I was. So the history of this area is very personal to me.
Yeah.
And I do get excited about it, and I'm proud to tell people about it and expose people to it and educate people about what we are and who we've been, because it is, in my opinion, my history as well.
Absolutely. Well, I was fascinated reading about you and talking to some friends and family members about you, that your involvement in, is it Civil War reenactments or just living history reenactments in general? Maybe it's across the board.
Mostly Revolutionary War.
Revolutionary
came
War,
up
forgive
working
me.
with Dad, the earlier period there. My family, I was raised in a historical home there in Plantersville.
Right.
And my parents very interested in local history, so I was sort of steeped in the cultures and traditions of our people. Got involved in living history reenactments, Revolutionary War living history reenactments, about 20 years ago. Grew up doing that. My father, being a craftsman and an artisan, led me into doing traditional blacksmith work.
Yes.
So before I came to the museum and throughout high school and college, that was, everything about my life was about forge work and iron work and traditional blacksmith work.
Right.
Went to school with an ambition to end up in a museum, working with artifacts and collections, which had been my real interest as a young man coming up.
That is incredible, Walter. Well, of course, the other exciting aspect of someone who really loves their area, you decided to go to college here in the area.
I sure did.
And attended, I believe, Coastal Carolina University.
Yes, sir. Very proud to be able to have stayed at home where I felt most comfortable and what meant the most to me, to study here, because my primary goal is to study local history,
right.
And to be able to achieve a high level of education here in Horry County at Coastal Carolina University.
Well, that excitement of knowing at an early age what you wanted to do and actually following through on it and getting a degree and actually pursuing this is tremendous.
Appreciate it.
You can think back to, can you actually think back to a time where you said, I want to work in a museum?
Yeah, coming up as a kid, when I found out that a curator was the guy who worked in the collections in the museum,
right.
it was always, I guess, maybe even disappointing to other people, because they'd ask what you want to do, and it said curator, and everybody said, "What's that? What does that do?" You had to explain to people. So after a while, you just kind of started saying, "I'd like to work in a museum."
Oh,
but
yeah.
very early on, archaeology and museums were always very fascinating to me because of
Yes.
the history of the artifacts and the culture there that they represented.
That is tremendous, Walter. That is absolutely tremendous. Well, of course, so many things. Again, obviously, I just wanted to take a second about you, because somebody's love of artifacts and love of the ground and nature, how it impacts everyone. There is a reason that folks need to come visit the Horry County Museum.
Sure is. For those of us who have a direct ancestral tie to this region,
Right.
it is who we are. And I think it's important people come in and experience that. Then, of course, for those who aren't from around here, I think it's very important that they come in and find out who we are,
Yeah.
why we see the world the way we see it, because of the cultures and traditions that have passed down to us, because of the trades and industry that we've experienced here. This is who we are. And so if you want to find out where you're from, this is how to find it out. If you want to find out where we're from, come on in and we'll tell you.
That's tremendous, Walter. Well, of course, you're talking about the largest county in South Carolina. You grew up in the fourth largest county in the state, and you're right next to Williamsburg County, which is probably one of the 5 largest counties in the state. So geographically, and it's great being in Georgetown to drive into Horry every day and actually look around you and think about all the excitement that there is in Horry.
Yeah, it really is, and I consider myself sort of having the best of both worlds, because I grew up in Plantersville, which is a rice plantation community, a summer community for the rice plantations. So I had a youth of enjoying and experiencing those rice plantations and
Right.
the history there, and then getting to come over to Conway and learn about the rural trades and the river industry here, which was often very similar, but often very different from Georgetown. So two very distinct, interesting stories there that represent who we are in the Low Country here.
That is tremendous, Walter. Big transition underway, the move from this former post office building, I believe, down the street to a new location, and some real excitement building right now. What are some of the exhibits that will anything change from what's currently operating here? And share with viewers a little about the upcoming transition.
It's really going to be a lot of really great changes. The move from the historic post office, which now houses the Horry County Museum at 5th and Main, into the historic 1905 Burroughs Graded School at the corner of 9th and Main, and beside the new Horry County Library, or Conway Library, Horry County Memorial Library Systems there, and right across the street from the Horry County Historical Society, really puts us in a prime location for history and culture here in Horry County.
Right.
But what it really allows us to do is expand. I told you we have a mission to represent the history, prehistory, and natural history of Horry County. Now, one of the problems that have faced us over the past 30 years here at the 5th Avenue and Main Street location has been size. We've been limited by what types and volume of exhibits we could do, limited by how large our collection could grow, and limited by program development because of size here. The building isn't large enough to house as much as we'd like. Our parking capacity is pretty slim, and we don't have anywhere in here to house a large volume of people.
Right.
So we got the opportunity several years back for the museum to take the historical Burroughs School, which was, of course, in its lifetime a school and a county office building, to become the new home of the Horry County Museum. Now, what that will allow us to do is put more permanent exhibits on display so that visitors can see more of the whole story all the time.
Yes.
So we'll have continue to have changing exhibit areas in there. And if I may, I'll kind of walk you through an illustrative visual image there, or a verbal image there of what the museum will look like.
I love it, Walter. Please do.
As a visitor comes up to the front, they're going to come into a main entrance there, which is going to have a reception area that's going to be very reminiscent of the old school desk, or I should say the old school teacher's desk. So approaching the school teacher's desk up there to that reception area with a lot of our artifacts that represent Horry County, or education in Horry County. They'll then be exposed to an absolutely outstanding helical staircase. Recognizing that we have part of our mission to focus on natural history of Horry County, we developed this staircase that shows the visitor through actual graduation up the stairs the different geographic elements in Horry County.
Wow.
So next to the base would be seashore type stuff, saltwater estuaries, river tributaries, blackwater swamps, and ending at the top at a Pinelands Bluff, an upper Pinelands Bluff type event there. This staircase will be wrapped around a cypress tree with natural history elements, birds of prey and lizards and animals represented here, with armatures coming off of the staircase with different elements showing those regions as they change climatically or geographically, I should say. At the base of the staircase will be a living blackwater aquarium, which gives us an opportunity to expose the visitor to a really grand approach to natural history in Horry County and the great diversity that's represented in natural history there.
Oh, yeah.
As we move down the halls, we'll have a large changing exhibit gallery, which is going to give us a place to be able to host large Smithsonian-style exhibits, traveling exhibits from other museums, as well as developing much larger traveling or changing exhibits ourselves.
Right.
We'll have across the hall from that 2 permanent but changing galleries. And what I mean by that is one will be permanently textiles, but we'll always be changing the textiles in that gallery.
Oh, great.
And another one will always be photographs, but we'll always be changing those photographs. So we can maintain a lot of diversity. What we don't want is for someone to say, I went to the museum once, I've already seen it.
Ooh.
We want them to come to the museum and see a different approach every time, to be able to come back over and over and over and re-experience the old exhibits and gain new experiences with our new changing exhibits there. As we go upstairs, we're going to be presented with a large Native American gallery. So as you come off the stairs, we're hoping to have a recreation of Native American woodlands hut or house there, typical of what Native people would have been living in here pre-Columbus. This will be a recreation that people can actually go walk in and sit down and experience what it would be like living in a house like this pre-Columbus in Horry County.
Right.
Also gives us an opportunity to display a large part of our Native American artifact collection that has been collected right here in Horry County up and down the Waccamaw and PD rivers.
Right.
As we move on down the hall there, we'll have a children exhibit gallery, which will sort of be themed around riverboats and river transportation. We'll get to see what we call an open storage exhibit. A lot of people don't realize as much as 90% of a museum collection is in storage at any given time.
Really? 90%?
As much as 90%. We collect things that are important to our history and culture, but they might not necessarily fit within a themed event or a themed exhibit or storyline, but they're important nonetheless. So we collect these things for future exhibits. We collect these things for future researchers, but they're not always on display. So
Right.
we developed an exhibit gallery there, which will allow us to put items in the collection that are in storage where the public can view them.